Good morning, students. I'm Shrimal, Assistant Professor of English, Government College, Manglana. Today we are going to take up the next part of Third Thoughts by E.V. Lucas. We have read so far that a story was told to the writer by one of his friends. The friend told the writer that it was his destiny to buy costly things and to sell them at a loss. But one day, fortunately, he saw a possible Turner painting and bought it for 10 shillings. Luckily, he found a purchaser for that painting and sold it for 50 pounds. In this way, he earned a profit of 49 pounds 10 shillings. Now he wanted to share that profit with the dealer he bought that painting from. And so he started writing a letter to the dealer. Let's begin. Thereupon, I sat down and wrote a little note saying that the potential turning drawing, which no doubt he recollected, had turned out to be authentic, and I had great pleasure in enclosing him half of the proceeds, as I considered that the only just and decent cause. Thereupon I sat down. The you know the writer, that is the friend, started writing a letter, and he began by writing that the potential Turner drawing, potential means possible, the possible Turner drawing, which no doubt the dealer would recollect, had turned out to be authentic. That the possible Turner drawing turned out to be a genuine Turner painting. Is that right? And the friend had great pleasure in enclosing the dealer half of the proceeds. Proceeds means profit. And therefore, the friend was happy to send half of the profit to the dealer. And why? He writes, as I consider that the only just and decent course. As means because the friend considered to share the profit with the others was the only honest and decent way of life. That's why he wanted to share half of the profit with the dealer. Is that right? What it means? It means that the friend had decided to send half of the profit to the dealer because he considered that the profit should be shared or the good luck should be shared with others. And this is an honest and fair way of life. Is that right? And now let's see what happens. Then, then the friend, having no steps and the hour being late, I did not pause this and went to bed. What happens? He did not have any steps and it was late night. Therefore, he did not post the letter that night and went to bed. Have you got the point? Why did he not post the letter that night? Why did he not send the money that night? Because it was late night time. He did not have his stamps, and therefore he postponed posting the letter till tomorrow morning, till the next morning. Is that right? Now, what happens between that night and the next morning is of crucial interest. Let's see what happens. At about 3:30 a.m., I woke widely up and, according to custom, began to review my life's errors, which are in no danger of ever suffering from loneliness. From these, I reached, by way of mitigation, my recent successful piece of chaffering and put the letter to the dealer under both examination and cross examination at about 3:30 a.m. The next day, early in the morning, about 3:30, he woke up widely. The friend woke up and according to custom means as it was customary, as it was his habit, as it was usual. He began to review his life's errors. Once again, he started reviewing the errors of his life, which are in no danger of ever suffering from loneliness. And the friend was a human being who committed not one, two, three, or four, but so many errors in his life. And that's why the errors never suffer from loneliness. They are not single, but so many errors. And he started reviewing his errors. From reviewing these errors, he reached, by way of mitigation, his recent successful piece of chaffering. His recent successful piece of chaffering. Chaffering means haggling or bargaining. He reached discussing, considering, reviewing his recent successful bargaining and put the letter to the dealer under both examination and cross examination. And he started reviewing the contents of the letter, whether it's good to send half of the profit to the dealer or whether it is going to be one of his errors again. He started examination, and ultimately what he decides is not a bargain with any dealer or purchaser or buyer, but it's a bargain with the soul of the friend himself. Is that right? Let's see. Why? So my thoughts ran. Give him half. Why be quixotic? This is no world for quixotry. It was my eye that detected the probability of the drawing, not his. He had indeed failed, did not know his own business. Why put a premium on inaptitude? No. A present of, say, 10 pounds at the most would more than adequately meet the case. And now, you see how he considers, how he reviews, how he comes to a conclusion. First of all, he says, why give him half? Why should he share half of the profit with the dealer? What is the point in it? And then he says, why be quixotic? What is a quixotic? A quixotic is a person who is extremely idealistic, unrealistic, and impractical. And that he asks himself, why should one be an extremely idealistic, unrealistic, and impractical person? What's the point? Why should I? I should not be an extremely idealistic, unrealistic, or impractical person. This is no world for quixotry. The world is not an idealistic place. The world is not an unrealistic place. The world is not meant for impractical persons. One must be practical to survive in this world. This is a real world. This is not an imaginary world. And therefore, he again thinks, it was my eye that detected the probability of the drawing. Since I detected, I found out that the painting could be a genuine Turner, and therefore the profit is mine. Have you got the point? What does the friend thinks? He thinks that I detected the probability, the potentiality, or the possibility of that drawing, that it could be a painting by Turner, and therefore the profit should go to me and me only. It should not be shared with anybody. He further says, not his. That is, the dealer was unable to find out, recognize the probability of the painting. He had indeed failed. The dealer had indeed failed. He did not know his own business. The dealer did not know his own trade. And therefore, why put a premium on ineptitude. Why should an unskilled person be rewarded? What is the point in rewarding an unskilled person? That was the question. No, and ultimately they said no. A present of say £10 at the most would more than adequately meet the case, and therefore half of the profit was too much. Only £10 present would be more than enough for the dealer, and he comes to the conclusion that he would not send half of the profit to the dealer, but he would send only £10 to the dealer because £10 would be more than adequate for the dealer. What would be more than enough for the dealer? Is that right? Now, students, you have understood that is bargaining. From half of the profit to from half of the profit he comes to £10. But whom is he bargaining with? He is bargaining with his own soul. There is no dealer, there is no purchaser, there is no buyer, there is no seller. But he is bargaining with his own soul. This is not the end. Now see what happens next. Let's see. Sleep still refusing to oblige me. Then I closed my eyes again and again began to think about the dealer. Why? So my thoughts ran, send him £10. It will only give him a wrong idea of his customers, none other of whom would be so fair, so sporting as I. He will expect similar letters every day and be disappointed. And then he will become embittered and go down the vale of tears, a miserable creature. Sleep still refusing to oblige me. Still I was unable to sleep. And then I closed my eyes. I closed my eyes and again began to think about the dealer. And once again, I started reviewing my decision of sending £10 to the dealer. Why? So my thoughts then send him £10. Once again, I started thinking, why should I send him £10? It will only give him a wrong idea of his customers. If I send him £10, the dealer would develop a wrong concept. The dealer would develop a wrong notion about his customers, because none other of whom would be so fair and so sporting as I. Because none of the customers would be so fair, so generous as I am. I am able to send him £10, but none of the other customers would be able to send him £10. And why should they? They would not send him £10. And he will expect similar letters every day. And if I send him £10 with the letter, the dealer would expect similar letters every day and be disappointed. And if he was unable to receive such letters daily, ultimately he would be disappointed, dejected, depressed, frustrated, and then he will become embittered. Embittered means angry and resentful, and then he will become angry and resentful and go down the vale of tears, a miserable creature. And he would start crying, weeping, and he would become a miserable creature. His life would become a virtual hell. And why should the friend make the life of such a person miserable? Is there any point? No, I don't think there is any point. And he should not make the life of that dealer miserable. And therefore, he once again reviews whether it was good to send £10 to the dealer. Now he further says, he looked a nice old man too, a pity, nay a crime to injure such a nature. No, £10 is absurd, 5 would be plenty, 10 would put him above himself. And he says, the dealer looked a nice old man too. The dealer was a nice old man, a pity, nay a crime. To show pity on such a person by sending £10 would not be pity, but it would be a crime. It would, it would distort the basic nature of that person. because after receiving this letter, he would develop a habit of expecting such letters daily, and this would be a deviation from his basic nature. No, 10 pounds is absurd, and therefore the friend concludes that 10 pounds would be absurd, useless, meaningless for that dealer. 5 would be plenty. It would be good. It would be enough. If the friend sent him only 5 pounds, 10 would put him above himself. 10 would be more for him, and therefore 5 pounds would be enough or more than enough for the dealer. Have you got the point? He started from half of the profit, then he decides to send him 10 pounds, and now he comes to send him only 5 pounds. Have you got the point? He is bargaining with his own soul. He is coming to a lower amount to send to the dealer, and he is in this way bargaining with his own soul. Now, what happens next? Whether he was able to send him 5 pounds, or whether he reviews this amount and sends him a little less amount, or whether he refuses to send him any amount at all, we'll take it up in the next class. Thank you. Enjoy reading, and we will take it up in the next